Hello friends, how are you all? Hope you people are doing well. Today I am going to start income from other sources, that is study note 9. Okay, this topic is comparatively easier and scoring as well. Now let's start the topic. What is given here is, as per section 56, any income which is not specifically exempted and not chargeable under any other heads of income shall be chargeable under income from other sources. The meaning is, if income is not exempt and it is not coming under income from house property, salary, PGBP, or capital gain. Okay, if under these four sources it is not coming, then it will come here, that is income from other sources. Now, that's why it is called as last and residual head of income. Section 56, subsection 2 lays down the list of incomes which are specifically taxable under this head. So, section 56, subsection 2 will give a list that tells us that these are the items which are specifically chargeable under income from other sources. Which are those items? Dividend, casual income, that is winning from lotteries and all, gift, share premium in excess of fair market value of shares, income by way of interest received, income by way of interest received on compensation or enhanced compensation, sum of money received as an advance or otherwise in course of negotiation for transfer of capital asset, if such is forfeited or the negotiation do not result in transfer. Okay, so these are the items which are specifically given under section 56 subsection 2 that will come here under this head. Then one more thing is mentioned here, that is income chargeable under this head if not charged under PGBP. So these are the four items which, if they are not charging, if they are not putting them under PGBP, then we can put them under income from other sources. Okay, but these six items specifically will come under income from other sources. There is no doubt about it. Okay, but this 7, 8, 9, 10, these are such items, if they are not charged under PGBP, then we have to charge under income from other sources. Which are those? Any sum received by assessee from his employer as a contribution to PF, interest on securities, and income from letting of plant and machinery and furniture and on composite rent. Income chargeable under this head not charged under PGBP or under the head salary. So these are 11 and 12. These are the items. If we are not charging them under salaries and PGBP, then we have to put them under income from other sources. Which are those? Sum received under Keyman insurance policy and compensation or other payment due to or received by the person in connection with the termination of employment or modification of excuse me or modification of terms of conditions relating thereto. So if there is change in the employment or there is a modification in the employment or there is a termination in the employment, then mostly we charge that under salaries. Okay. So if you're not showing that under salaries, then that will come under income from other sources. Okay. So Keyman insurance policy, mostly we have to show this under PGBP, but if you are not showing under PGBP, then you have to show under income from other sources. Okay. Now, what is Keyman insurance policy? That a policy taken by a person on the life of another person. So, suppose employer mostly takes the Keyman insurance policy on the life of employee. Now, why? Because that person is a key man. That person is very important to the business. That's why employer takes. Now, if that person leaves or expires, the employee leaves or expires, and there is a loss to the employer. So he will receive the compensation from the insurance company. So that he has to show under PGBP. But suppose he is not showing that income under PGBP, then he can show under income from other sources. Okay. Apart from the above, following incomes are also chargeable under this head. So section 56 subsection 2 gives us a list absolutely chargeable under this head, either PGBP or income from other sources, either PGBP or head of salary under the head salary or income from other sources. And section 56 subsection 1 tells that there are some other items also which will be charged here, which are those income from subletting of house property. If you let your house property, that will come under income from house property, but you sublet means what? Suppose I have taken a flat on rent, so for my landlord, that is income from house property, and suppose of the flat I have given one room on rent to someone else. So what will happen here? I will receive rent, but I'm not the owner, so I cannot show that under income from house property. So I have subletted it, right? So that will come under income from other sources. Then interest on bank deposit, interest on company deposit, revenue received from a person other than, okay. This I'm not reading the fourth point entirely. You all can read. I'll just explain you this. Suppose there is a teacher who receives who receives remuneration for correcting the papers. Okay, now if the remuneration is paid by Goa University, Mumbai University, then it will come under income from other sources. But if the remuneration is paid by the college who is the employer of the teacher, then that will come under income from salaries. Okay, rent from vacant land, insurance commission, income from undisclosed source, income from private tuitions, interest on income tax refund. Income tax refund itself is not an income, but income tax refund, if you get, it is not an income. Why? Because you paid and you got you back. You are getting it back, right? But on that, suppose you are getting interest, then that will come under income from other sources. Family pension receipts. So students, we are going to see in detail this family pension later. Okay, then stipend to trainee, income from activity of owning and maintaining race horses, interest on employees contribution towards unrecognized provident fund. So in unrecognized provident fund, on employees contribution, any interest is received and that is paid at the time of payment of lump sum amount, that will come under income from other sources. Okay, now we will see basis of charge. This is a charging section. Now when the tax will come, on accrual basis or on cash basis, depending upon the method of accounting followed. So whether it is mercantile or cash system. So what you are following, income under this head shall be chargeable under the head accrual or cash basis, depending upon the method of accounting followed by the SEC. Now suppose there is a normal person like who is working somewhere as an employee, so mostly they follow cash system of accounting. Okay, there is a businessman, so mostly they follow mercantile system of accounting. You know what system of accounting you are following. If you are following cash system of accounting, so this income will be chargeable to tax when you received it. Okay, and when you are following mercantile system of accounting, so when this particular is accrued, income is accrued, that time it will be chargeable to tax. Okay, dividend is charged as per the method specified in section 8. So there we are going to see dividend here. This is exception, like accrual or cash basis. So dividend is the exception to the same. We have to follow a different method for charging dividend under income from other sources, and we have to see section 8 for the same. Okay, now let's start with the incomes. Like as I said, the first one is casual income, that is under section 56 subsection 2. So no need to remember this clause and all, only you can remember 56 subsection 2. Winning from lotteries, crossword puzzle, then races including horse races, gambling, betting of any nature, card games, show or game show, entertainment on television like KBC and all. Okay, so if you're going for that and casually you're earning the income, means without efforts and all, then that will be chargeable under the head IFOS, that is income from other sources. Such income shall be fully taxable, no deduction. First of all, here no deduction will be available, and expenses also will not be allowed to be deducted. Like that, it means you cannot say that I earned 1 lakh rupees lottery winning is my lottery winning. So I purchased 50,000 ka lottery tickets. So I have to deduct that. It's not allowed, students. Okay. So what I'm trying to say here is no deduction. ATC ATU deduction also will not be available here. Okay, we'll just wait for 2 seconds. Some disturbance is there, we'll wait. Okay, so first thing from this casual income, no expenses to be deduction of expenses not allowed. Secondly, deduction of this ATC to ATU section is also not allowed. Okay, so you cannot say income from okay, I have only one income, that I won lottery of rupees 1 crore, but I have paid LIC of rupees 50 lakhs. You cannot do that. You cannot deduct any payment towards ATC to ATU from this earning. Okay, entire amount will be taxable. What is the tax rate? Flat 30%. Then income of jockey. Income of jockey from such profession is not treated as winning from horse races. Okay, so the jockey, I hope you all must be knowing, the person who is riding the this horse and all. So for him, this is not winning from horse races. He must be getting some salary for the same. So that is his income from salary. Okay, not income from other sources. winning from a motor car rally, so that is cannot be treated as a casual income. You are earning that because you have got some skills to drive the motor car, so that will not come under income from, that will not be your casual income. Okay. Lottery held as a stock in trade. Winning from lottery to agent or a trader out of its unsold stock be treated as incidental to business and taxable. Okay. Now suppose I'm a lottery agent or a lottery trader, whatever it may be. I have got some unsold stock of tickets. Now what I did, I only bought it, and and ultimately what happened at the end of the day or maybe end of the month, whenever the winning thing is removed, that time my number only came. So I'm the winner now. So where I can show it. It is not a casual income for the trader or the agent of the lottery. It will be considered as PGBP. Got it? But suppose as a person, like simple person, I'm working somewhere and I have bought some lottery tickets and I have won lottery prize, so that will be income from other sources. Now this entire thing I'm not reading, I'm just going to tell you in short. In sometimes in the question they give you net amount, they give you 70%, so you have to calculate 100%, you have to calculate gross amount. Now what they will give you, that okay, now how you will understand this is 30%, they will write into bracket TDS deducted. Now we should know that TDS is 30%. Okay. So suppose they have given 70,000. So 70,000 is 70%. So we have to calculate 100% because we want gross amount. So 100% is equal to, or I can say like this, question mark is equal to 100%. So I have to do cross multiplication and calculate. Same here I have written, see 70%, that is the net amount, or I can write like this also for more easy understanding. Is 70 is 70,000. So 100 is question mark. Okay. So I will get 1 lakh here if I do cross multiplication. You all can do and later on see 100 into 70,000 divided by 70. So if net is given, we have to calculate the gross amount and consider it for the taxation purpose. Then the next two incomes come here. This was the first one, that is casual income. The first one was casual income. Now the second one I'm going to tell you, explain, is the income from 2.1 and 2.2. Just a minute. Income from letting of machinery, plant or furniture, and composite rent. Income from letting of building. Now, income from letting of machinery and plant furniture. This is very easy to understand. You have given your plant machinery, or your furniture, or your any kind of equipment, something on rent. Fine. So you are going to get rent for the same. That is not your house property. So you have to charge under income from other sources. Now there is a concept of composite rent. We have already seen this under house property. Okay. Now, income from letting of building is taxable under the head income from house property. This we know. But if such letting is inseparable from letting of machinery, plant, furniture, then income from such letting is charged as income from other sources. So, along with the building, if you have given machinery, plant, furniture also on rent, and which is not separable, inseparable it is. So, instead of charging that building rent under income from house property, you have to charge it under income from other sources if you have not charging under income from PGBP. Now suppose there is a mall owner and he has given his mall on rent, so either he can show that under PGBP or IFOS. Got it? Because along with the building, he has given some other facilities also, which is inseparable. So the person is not ready to accept it without other facilities, like lift is there, or other machinery is there, some machineries are there, some furniture is there. So the person who is taking on rent, it is not, he is not ready to accept it without the facilities. So you have charged the rent for along, means the facilities and building rent is a composite rent. Now the question is whether to charge this under income from house property, PGBP or IFOS. So the answer is either PGBP or IFOS, not income from house property. Okay. So if you have charged, if you are showing that under PGBP, don't show under income from other sources. If you are not showing under PGBP, then you can show under income from other sources. Okay. Then deduction allowed against, now these are the two sections here. Section 56 subsection 2 clause 2, section 56 subsection 2 clause 3. For these two things, students, there are some deductions available. Means you can reduce certain expenses from the income earned by way of letting of machinery and composite rent. Which are those? If you have done any repairs, if you have paid any insurance for the machinery, plant, furniture, building, if any depreciation is there or any other revenue expenditures are there, that you can deduct, but not from the casual income. And this is about income from letting of machinery or furniture and composite rent. Okay. Then students, we will see third point, that is family pension. Now what is given in family pension? Family pension is a regularly monthly pay amount payable by the employer to a person belonging to the family of deceased employee, mostly the widow. Okay, employee is deceased now, so the pension will be paid to the family member, mostly widow or any other legal heir of the deceased employee. That is called as family pension. See, pension is received by the employee after retirement, and family pension is received by the relative of the employee after his death. Okay, it is taxable under the head income from other sources. Now, why not under salary? Because the legal heir or the widow or the relative of the deceased is not the employee, right? We have seen that there should be employer employee relationship. There should be existence of employer and employee to charge a particular income under income from salary. But here what is happening? Here the thing is, the deceased relative is not the employee. That's why he will show under income from other sources whatever family pension he will receive after allowing the standard deduction. So here also standard deduction is given. How much is that? One third of the pension or rupees 15,000, whichever is lower. Minimum of one third of the pension received or rupees 15,000, whichever is lower. Now suppose the family member is receiving any arrears of the pension, so for that 89 relief will be available. Okay. Now lump sum payment made by way of compensation then to the widow and all, it is not taxable. Suppose like they are considering, okay, fine, that person has worked for so many years. Okay, that is called as ex gratia. That person has worked for so many years, so we should give something to the family members. So as an award, something is given by the employer to the employee after who dies while still in service. Means when he was in service and he dies, so that amount is paid to the widow or the legal heir of the employee. That is not taxable. Okay. Any extra payment given to the widow or legal heir when the employee was active, it is also not taxable when it is paid by the central government, state government, or local government, or any public sector undertaking. Okay. So you just remember that after death of the employee, any extra payment given, that is called as ex gratia payment given to the legal heir of the employee, it is not taxable. Now we'll see this question. Sundar died on 31st July 2020 while being in central government service. In terms of rules governing his service, his widow, Mrs. Sundar, is paid a family pension of rupees 10,000 per month and dearness allowance of 40% thereof. Now 10,000 per month, 40% dearness allowance will be 4,000 per month, right? State whether the amount of family pension is accessible in her hands. If so, under which head can she claim any relief or deduction on such receipt? Compute taxable income for 21-22 assessment year. Okay, and tax thereon. Now, first of all, this will come under income from other sources. We know that family pension comes under income from other sources. Now, how much family pension? 10,000 plus 4,000. 10,000 is the pension, and 40% of that is DA, so 14,000. Now, from where to where we have to calculate when he died on 31st July. So the pension will start from August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. Like that, how many months are coming? 8 months are coming, right? So multiplied by 8, so 1,12,000. Now family pension deduction is allowed, and whatever remains that will be taxable. So just now we saw how much is the deduction. One third of the pension or rupees 15,000. 15,000 is the statutory limit. One third of the pension means 1,12,000 divided by 3. So 37,333 and 15,000. What is less? 15,000. So 1,12,000 means 15,000 will be exempt. How much will be taxable? 97,000. Okay. Now along with that they have told us to calculate tax also. This 97,000 is below 2,50,000 limit, so tax will be nil. Okay, so we are considering that only this income she has, none other than this she is not having any other income. Now the most important thing of this section of this income from other sources is gift. Many times questions also come. Following received by such a person shall be considered as his income. Okay. Now any gift or asset acquired for low consideration by any person, what will be applicable here? Section 56 subsection 2 clause 10 applicable with effect from 1st April 2017. So this thing is come from 1st April 2017. Any gift or asset acquired for low consideration, fine, this will be applicable. Otherwise what we have to do? Okay, but suppose this gift or asset is received from this persons. Which persons? MIRDHUTLAITC. We are going to see in detail what is MIRDHUTLAITC. So the last is ITC. You can remember like this: Mr. ID, Mr. ID, MRID. Okay, Mr. ID Hut, HUT Hut, and then La, Mr. ID Hut La ITC, Mr. ID Hut La ITC. Okay, so if the gift or the asset is acquired from this or it is received from these people, then section 56 subsection 2 clause 10 not applicable, so it will not be taxable. And if the gift or the asset is not received by these people, then it will be taxable, and we have to consider these three cases. If money is received without consideration, if movable property is received, and if movable property is received without consideration or inadequate consideration, and immovable property is received without consideration or inadequate consideration. Okay, now first of all we will see um, money received without consideration. If aggregate money is more than rupees 50,000, then whole money shall be taxable. Students, here the words aggregate has got a deeper meaning. Okay, so in a particular previous year, what you have to do, you have to just not look at one item or one gift, one cash gift. You have to consider, or you have to make total of the all cash gifts received during that previous year, and then you have to compare it with rupees 50,000. If the total comes more than 50,000, then whatever amount is there, that entire gifts will be taxable. Okay, now I'll give you one example. Suppose somebody received from friend 40,000 in one previous year, it will not be taxable. Okay, suppose Mr. A received from his friend cash gift of rupees 50,000, it will not be taxable, right? Suppose someone receives in a particular year rupees 60,000 as a cash gift, then it will be taxable. 60,000 will be taxable because it is more than 50,000. Now take this example. Suppose somebody received 20,000, 20,000 and 40,000 different items from two different friends. 20,000 cash gift and one more cash gift 40,000 from a other different friend. Okay, now students, you have to make total of these two. So 20,000 plus 40,000 will be 60,000, which is more than 50,000. So the entire 60,000 will be chargeable to tax. Aggregate meaning, in a previous year whatever cash gifts are received, you have to make total of this. Don't apply this 50,000 to individual item. Okay, then second is movable property. Now movable property means what? That we are going to see SSJDP SAOB. We are going to see detail afterwards meaning of that. Okay, if movable property is received without consideration. Now suppose somebody has given me one movable property without consideration, मतलब gift दिया, उसके लिए कुछ भी उसने charge नहीं किया. If aggregate fair market value is more than 50,000, then entire fair market value shall be taxable. So here also aggregate we have to see. So in a particular year, in a particular previous year, a CC has received some gifts which is not cash but some movable property. Okay, we'll see only what is movable property here. Wait, these are the movable property: shares, securities, jewelry, painting, archaeological collections, sculptures, any other work of art, bullion, matlab gold. Okay, and this is immovable property that for that we have a different section. Okay, so if you have received any sculpture, archaeological collection, okay, jewelry, drawing, painting, okay, any other work art, bullion, गोल्ड कॉइन्स वगैरह मिले हैं तुमको और कोई सिल्वर कुछ ऐसा मिला है, ओके, सो दैट विल बी कंसिडर्ड एज मूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी. गॉट इट? So if you have received any movable property without any consideration, so we have to find out the aggregate fair market value. Suppose three gifts are given like that. ज्वेलरी दिया है, आर्ट वर्क दिया है, ड्राइंग दिया है, तो तीनों की टोटल करो एंड देन कंसिडर एंड देन चेक इफ इट इज मोर देन 50,000 देन एंटायर फेयर मार्केट वैल्यू. सो अभी गिफ्ट दिया है तो उसकी कीमत तो हमको वी हैव टू टेक द फेयर मार्केट वैल्यू ना, फ्रॉम वेयर यू विल गेट, इट विल गिवन इन द क्वेश्चन. Okay, ऐसे दिया होगा gold chain of 10,000 but the fair market value is 20,000, so we have to take fair market value. Okay, so the entire fair market value shall be taxable. If it is less than 50,000 the aggregate value, then nothing will be taxable. Okay, then the next is inadequate consideration. Means you got a movable property, means you can say you purchase a movable property but at some लेस कंसिडरेशन, मतलब जो 2 करोड़ की चीज थी वो तुमको 2 लाख में मिली है, समथिंग लाइक दैट इज देयर. ओके, सो व्हाट वी हैव टू डू हियर, if the aggregate value, that is fair market value minus consideration, so what you have to do, fair market value minus consideration, like I said 2 crores minus 2 lakh you have to do. Or suppose we'll go, I'm giving one example. Suppose one gold chain was there of rupees 2 lakhs that you purchased from your friend at rupees 1 lakh 60,000. Okay, so fair market value is 2 lakhs minus at what price you purchase 1 lakh 60,000, so the difference is 40,000. If this difference is more than 50,000, then the difference between fair market value and consideration shall be taxable. If the difference is more than 50,000, now our difference is what, 2 lakh minus 1 lakh, 2 lakh minus 1 lakh 60,000 को लिया तुमने, so the difference was coming 40,000, which is not more than 50,000, nothing will be taxable. One more example I am giving. Suppose 2 lakh का एक कोई gold chain है that you purchase at rupees 1 lakh, so the difference is 1 lakh, right? So that is more than 50,000, so then the difference between fair market value and consideration, that is 1 lakh rupees, will be chargeable to tax. Okay, if the consideration is not given, is if the गिफ्ट इज गिवन विदाउट कंसिडरेशन, मतलब उसने कुछ लिया ही नहीं तुम्हारे पास से, देन वी हैव टू जस्ट मेक द टोटल ऑफ ऑल द गिफ्ट्स इन द प्रीवियस ईयर एंड सी if it is more than 50,000 then taxable, not taxable. Okay, if there is inadequate consideration, means you purchase something for an inadequate consideration, so that you have to calculate the difference between fair market value and the consideration that you paid, and if it is more than 50,000 then the difference between the two will be taxable, otherwise not. Okay, then the next thing is immovable property like land, building or both. Okay, if it is received without consideration, कोई तुम्हारे कोई friend ने तुमको कुछ land gift कर दी है, so you have to look at the stamp duty value. Here it is stamp duty value, here it is fair market value. Where you will get stamp duty value in the question. If the stamp duty value of per property, here the we are not supposed to add the gifts value of the property. Aggregate नहीं करना है यहाँ तक aggregate है. Okay, for what, for cash it is aggregate, and for movable property it is aggregate, but for immovable property it is separate. Means समझो एक साल में मुझे मेरे एक friend ने एक land gift करी है, I'll write here, एक land gift करी है जिसकी stamp duty value है, stamp duty value is say 40,000, whether it will be taxable or not taxable. Okay, understood this? It will not be taxable. Now one more example I am telling you. Give me 2 minutes. Then in the same year, one more my friend is there जिसने मुझे समझो एक बिल्डिंग गिफ्ट कराया, एक कुछ भी ऐसा फ्लैट गिफ्ट कराया. सपोज he has gifted me a flat. Okay, now when he gifted me the flat, the stamp duty value of that flat I have to see, that is say 1 lakh. Now the question is whether it is okay. Stamp duty value is say 10,000. Not possible के फ्लैट की 10,000 में, just for your this understanding, it is not taxable. Why? Because it is not more than 50,000. This. Okay, suppose I am changing something. Suppose this is 60,000 now. Now students, you will do this mistake, you will add this 40,000. Wait, we will add this 40,000 and 60,000 and you will say कि हाँ ये 1 lakh है, so it is more than 50,000, so it will be taxable. No, you have to look at each transaction. So land का 50,000 से ज़्यादा है क्या, देन टैक्सेबल होगा. फ्लैट का 50,000 से ज़्यादा है क्या, see here I have taken 60,000, so now it will be taxable, no students, it will be taxable. Why? Not because I am adding this to, because this is only more than 50,000, this stamp duty value. Okay, suppose I am making like this, whether it will be taxable? No, not taxable. Why? Because this is not more than 50,000. Suppose this is like this is 41,000 and this is 10,000. So if we make total, it is coming 51,000. But still it will not be taxable. Why? Because we have to look at individual item here, not aggregate. Total नहीं करनी है. Previous year में जो immovable property gift में मिलेंगे उनकी total नहीं करनी है. We have to look at each item. Okay. Now suppose this is 51,000. Then it will be taxable because it is more than 50,000. Okay. Then the entire stamp duty value will be taxable. See here we have to see here we have to take fair market value. Here we have to take stamp duty value. Okay. Then if you have got a gift from your friend or somebody, okay, that is immovable property, land, building, both, for inadequate consideration. Not a gift, you have purchased from them for inadequate consideration. Now what is inadequate consideration? Means the value of the stamp duty value of the building is suppose 15 lakhs and you bought it for say 2 lakhs. This is called as inadequate consideration. मतलब बहुत ज़्यादा कीमत है उसकी, but you got it at a lesser price. That is called as inadequate consideration. Okay, so you have to calculate these two things. What is that? Stamp duty value minus consideration if it is more than 50,000, first condition, and stamp duty value is more than 110% of the consideration. This is the second condition. Then the difference between stamp duty value and consideration shall be taxable. दोनों चीज़ें हमको देखनी है. Stamp duty value minus consideration is more than 50,000, that we have to see, and stamp duty value is more than 110% of the consideration. So these two things we have to calculate and see. If it is coming like that, then the difference between stamp duty and consideration shall be taxable. Okay, I'll give you one example here. Suppose you purchase a land. Okay, the price is 15 lakhs. Suppose stamp duty value, and purchase price at what price you purchase. Suppose you purchase at rupees 2 lakhs, और हम ऐसा ले लेंगे थोड़ा. Suppose you purchase at 10 lakhs. Okay. Now the question is calculate income from other sources. Okay, first of all, this is which case? This is not received from friend and all. Okay, this is not received from relatives and all these persons. This is otherwise. This is money? No. This is movable asset? No. This is immovable property, right? Now, without consideration and inadequate. So this is inadequate consideration. Now, what we have to calculate? We have to calculate stamp duty value minus consideration. The stamp duty value is minus consideration is 10 lakhs is equal to 5 lakhs. So this is more than 50,000. First condition satisfied, right? Now we have to see the second condition also. What is the second condition? Stamp duty value is more than 110% of the consideration. So we will calculate 110% of consideration. मतलब कितना? 10 lakhs का 110%. Obviously कितना आने वाला है? 11 lakhs. Right? So here what is given? Stamp duty value is more than 110% of the consideration. So 110% of the consideration is coming 11 lakhs, and how much is stamp duty value? 15 lakhs. इसका मतलब I'll write here stamp duty value is 15 lakhs. इसका मतलब दोनों कंडीशन सेटिस्फाई हो रहे हैं, राइट? इफ बोथ कंडीशंस आर सेटिस्फाइड then what is written here, just read, then the difference between stamp duty value and consideration shall be taxable. So income from other sources is equal to difference between stamp duty value and purchase consideration, that is 5 lakhs. This will be taxable in the hands of receiver. जो भी receive Mr. रमेश दिनेश जो क्वेश्चन में नाम दिया हुआ है, it will be taxable. Okay students, understood? Now next thing, continuation of this only, like here it is given, if you have received cash gift, any gift asset acquired from these people, then it will not be applicable. 56 subsection 2 will not be applicable and not taxable. Otherwise इन लोगों के अलावा किसी और से मिला है, then we have to go ahead and check whether it is money, movable property and do calculation like this. We have to consider these points. Okay, so कौन है वो लोग? जैसे मैंने बताया, मिस्टर आई डी थू ला, ओके, ITC, लास्ट वाला ITC. सो मिस्टर में का एम कौन है? ऑन द ओकेजन ऑफ मैरिज. अगर शादी के मौके पे, ऐसे कि शादी के मौके पे किसी ने भी उसको कुछ भी दे दिया, कितने भी रुपए का होगा, वो एग्जेम्प्ट होगा. ठीक है. आर फ्रॉम एनी रिलेटिव, अगर रिलेटिव से मिलता है, फिर वो शादी के मौके पे मिलने दो, कहीं भी मिलने दो, ध्यान दो. हाँ, शादी के मौके पे रिलेटिव ने दिया, फ्रेंड ने दिया, दोस्त ने दिया, ऊपर वाले ने दिया, बाजू वाले ने दिया, किसी ने भी कुछ भी दिया, बॉस ने दिया, एग्जेम्प्ट एग्जेम्प्ट एग्जेम्प्ट. अगर तुम्हारे शादी के मौके पे, बहन के भाई के नहीं, ऑन द ओकेजन ऑफ योर मैरिज, ऑन द ओकेजन ऑफ असीसी's मैरिज, ओके, सो इट विल बी एग्जेम्प्ट वेदर रिसीव्ड फ्रॉम एनीबडी, किसी ने भी दिया हो, रिलेटिव ने, किसी ने भी, फ्रेंड ने. नेक्स्ट इज रिलेटिव ने दिया. रिलेटिव ने कब दिया? कभी भी देने दो, शादी के मौके पे देने दो, अदरवाइज देने दो. अगर रिश्तेदार दे रहा है कुछ भी, देन इट इज एग्जेम्प्ट. ओके, बट अगर दोस्त शादी के मौके पे देगा तो ही एग्जेम्प्ट होगा. रिलेटिव शादी के मौके पे देने दो, कहीं कभी भी देने दो, एग्जेम्प्ट होगा, ये याद रखो. अंडर विल और वे ऑफ इनहेरिटेंस, मतलब तुम्हारी क्या मिस्टेक है, तुम क्यों टैक्स भरोगे? तुमको तो विल में कुछ मिल गया है, तुमको तो इनहेरिटेंस में मिल गया है. ठीक है, तो टैक्स नहीं होगा. इन कंटेम्पलेशन ऑफ डेथ, मतलब कोई अगर इंसान की डेथ हो रही है, उस टाइम पे उसने उसको ऑन दी स्पॉट कुछ नाम पे कर दिया उसके, तो उस एसएससी को उस पर कुछ टैक्स भरने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. ठीक है. फ्रॉम और बाय एनी ट्रस्ट रजिस्टर अंडर 12A, कोई ट्रस्ट ऐसे रहते हैं जिसका रजिस्ट्रेशन इनकम टैक्स के 12A एक्ट के अंदर रजिस्ट्रेशन होता है, तो वो ट्रस्ट अगर तुमको कुछ दे रहे हैं यहाँ पे, सो यू आर नॉट सपोज टू पे एनी टैक्स ऑन दैट. ओके, तो मैंने हॉस्पिटल और मेडिकल इंस्टीट्यूशन से तुमको कुछ मिला है, या तुमको कुछ कोई यूनिवर्सिटी ने कुछ दिया है, एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशन से तुमको कुछ मिला है, देन फ्रॉम एनी लोकल अथॉरिटी, if it is received from, yeah, from any local authority or defined under 10 subsection 20, then कोई ट्रस्ट से मिला है तुमको, या बाय एनी फंड, हॉस्पिटल, यूनिवर्सिटी, उनसे मिला है. ओके, या कोई ऐसे जो क्लॉजेस है सेक्शन 47 में, उसके अंडर मिला है. सो वी आर गोइंग टू सी दिस क्लॉजेस when we will see capital gain. So right now students, you all remember only this: on the occasion of marriage, from relative, under inheritance, death एंड ट्रस्ट, हॉस्पिटल, यूनिवर्सिटी, लोकल अथॉरिटी, ये भी इतना याद रख लिया तो बस बहुत है. ठीक है. सो अगर इन लोगों से आपको मिला है तो उस पर कोई भी कुछ भी मिलने दो, कितने भी अमाउंट का मिलने दो, ये केस है तो टैक्स नहीं लगेगा. इसके अलावा कोई है तो वहाँ पे क्या लगने वाला है? टैक्स लगने वाला है. सो वी हैव टू लुक एट वेदर इट इज मनी, मूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी, मनी में एग्रीगेट करना है, मूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी में एग्रीगेट करना है, और इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी में तुमको सेपरेट देखना है. ठीक है. देन नेक्स्ट थिंग इज मूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी में क्या आएगा, जैसे मैं ऑलरेडी बता दिया, शेयर, सिक्योरिटीज, ज्वेलरी, ड्राइंग, पेंटिंग, आर्कोलॉजिकल कलेक्शन, स्कल्पचर, इनेजर वर्क ऑफ आर्ट, बुलियन. और ये इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी यहाँ पे नहीं कंसिडर करेंगे हम लोग इसको. इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी हम यहाँ पे कंसिडर करेंगे. ओके, इफ़ यू वांट यू कैन जस्ट क्रॉस कर दो वहाँ पे, डिलीट कर दो वहाँ से, या ओवरराइड करके निकाल दो यहाँ से. ठीक है. एनी प्रॉपर्टी रिसीव्ड एज गिफ्ट और एक्वायर्ड फॉर लो कंसिडरेशन अदर देन द अबाउट नॉट एप्लीकेबल. अगर ये प्रॉपर्टी के अलावा कोई भी प्रॉपर्टी तुमको मिल रही है, चाहे दोस्त से मिलने दो, किससे भी मिलने दो, तो फिर इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी भी, तो फिर अगर तुमको मिल रही है तो उस पर कोई टैक्स नहीं लगेगा. जैसे तुमको किसी ने कार गिफ्ट दे दी, फ़ोन गिफ्ट दे दिया, टीवी दे दिया, फर्नीचर दे दिया, वॉच दे दी, देन इसके ऊपर कोई टैक्स लगने वाला नहीं है, चाहे उसकी कीमत 50,000 से ज़्यादा हो या कम हो. वाई? बिकॉज ये जो चीज़ें हैं यही मूवेबल और इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी में आते हैं। मूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी में शेयर, ज्वेलरी, ड्राइंग, पेंटिंग, आर्कियोलॉजिकल कलेक्शन, स्कल्पचर इन वर्क ऑफ आर्ट, बुलियन। और इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी, बुलियन तक के मूवेबल और आगे इमूवेबल। इस चीज़ों के अलावा कुछ भी मिला तो उस पर टैक्स नहीं लगेगा, ठीक है, चाहे उसकी कीमत 50,000 से ज़्यादा हो। ना रिलेटिव हम लोग देखेंगे, बिकॉज हमने यहाँ पे देखा है कि अगर तुमको कोई रिलेटिव कोई गिफ्ट देता है तो उस पर टैक्स नहीं है। तो रिलेटिव मतलब क्या, रिलेटिव की डेफिनेशन दी हुई है। ओके, लीनियर एसेंडेंट एंड स्पाउस, यहाँ पे मतलब सी मदर एंड फादर, ओके, असिसी के एंड असिसी के linear ascendant and spouse, and linear ascendant and spouse. So here linear descendant and spouse. In short, what is given here, see, there is individual और assessee. तो अभी इंडिविजुअल कौन है, हम एग्जांपल लेंगे मिस्टर रमेश एंड उसकी वाइफ, स्पाउस। तो रिलेटिव में कौन कौन आएगा, इंडिविजुअल, असेसी की स्पाउस इज रिलेटिव, स्पाउस के ब्रदर और ब्रदर एंड सिस्टर इज रिलेटिव ऑफ इंडिविजुअल। स्पाउस भी रिलेटिव है, स्पाउस के ब्रदर सिस्टर है, वो भी इंडिविजुअल के रिलेटिव में आ जाएंगे। रिलेटिव तो है ही बट रिलेटिव के डेफिनेशन में आएंगे, ठीक है। स्पाउस के ब्रदर एंड स्पाउस, तो स्पाउस की सिस्टर एंड स्पाउस, स्पाउस की सिस्टर एंड उसका जो स्पाउस रहेगा, दैट विल बी ऑल्सो रिलेटिव टू द इंडिविजुअल। ओके, सो सी वंस अगेन, इंडिविजुअल जो है मिस्टर रमेश जो है उसकी बीवी समझो सीता है, सीता का भाई, भाई की बीवी, सीता की बहन, बहन का पति विल ऑल्सो बी रिलेटिव टू द इंडिविजुअल, टू द रमेश। ओके, सिमिलरली खुद का भाई खुद की बहन भी रिलेटिव है, और भाई की वाइफ और बहन का पति भी रिलेटिव है। ओके,